You know, as you track your spending, though, and your income, YNAB's storing all that information. All that data is very useful come tax time, but it will also help you manage your small business. So let's jump on over to YNAB so I can show you what I mean. Let's say I'm a freelance consultant. I've been budgeting with YNAB for my small business, and I'd like to see how I'm doing so far this year. So let's take a look at reports in YNAB. When I go to the report section here, you're going to find detailed information and summary data in the income and expense report. Now you can choose a date range. You can choose the categories you'd like to include, even the accounts you'd like to include, using these drop-down options here at the top. Now, income sources will be grouped by the payee names. So I can easily see who my biggest clients are, just at a glance, total income for each month. Averages and totals are displayed in these columns here to the right. Now, your expenses will be summarized by category and by category group. Oh, how do our monthly and true expenses, though, compare from month to month? Well, here's a way to get a big picture view of things. Just collapse the groups using those little triangles at the side of the group name, category group name. So I can then see the totals for each of those category groups. Maybe you're interested in what your monthly advertising spending was. Well, let's expand those groups again so we can see that extra category details and we can see our advertising. Now, your reports will reflect your selected date range. If you'd like to maybe just look at the last 3 months, for example, we can go up here to the date range, choose just the latest 3 months, and our report will accommodate, of course. Now, if you'd like to see transaction details, you can simply click on the number. So for example, I want to see the transportation transactions that made up that number. Just clicking on that will break it down. I can then even go to each of these individual transactions with a click if I needed to edit or get more information as well. Okay. Now, you'll see income and loss totals here at the bottom. A green number reflects net income, spending less than you earned, while a red number reflects more money leaving the budget than was brought in. Now, income and expense reports are really helpful in providing summary information for tax reporting, identifying a month with maybe some unusual spending, like this education and training in June. Oh, yeah, that's right. That was that seminar we went to. Okay. But it gives you a lot of different ways of viewing where your money's coming from and going. But sometimes a picture can be worth 1,000 words or numbers. And who really doesn't like graphs, right? If you'd like to see how your spending has changed over time, or how spending in different category groups compare, you'll want to check out the spending section in reports. Now, the spending totals graph will show you your spending by category group. The same parameter options are available here at the top. So if you'd like to see just specific categories, for example, let's take owner's draw and taxes out of the picture here so we can see what's remaining. And there we go. Now you will see summary information in the sidebar, but I can also just hover over a section of the graph to see the totals. Now for more detail, all I have to do is just simply click on the graph itself. It'll break it down to the actual categories. For example, where does most of my money go? I mean, I can see the largest sections, advertising, it looks like. Education and training's next up. In this case, maybe we want to reduce advertising spending a bit, maybe increase our spending in education and training. Sometimes looking at your spending this way can provide a lot of real insight into your priorities. Now, spending trends will show you how your spending has changed over time. Now, I know we've been trying to cut back on our supply spending. Spending trends will show us our progress. So I can go to this graph, and let's go ahead and start by selecting none of our categories so that we can isolate just that supplies and equipment. That's the only one I really want to look at this time. And there we go. I can see we have reduced our supply spending over the last 3 months. So very cool. Now, your net worth report will show you the total of what you have in your accounts and how it has changed over time. What you own less what you owe. As you spend less than you earn, as you pay down your debt, your net worth will increase. Now you can select a date range as well and the accounts that you'd like to include. Now you can also include tracking accounts for your net worth report. Things like an investment or a loan accounts. So if you've added any of those to YNAB, those will be available in your net worth. That's the only report that you'll see those tracking accounts in. Now the sidebar shows, of course, summary data, but I can also hover over the actual category, the bar itself, to get even more information in the graph. Now sometimes all the information you need, though, is right in your budget. So Quick Budget helps you assign dollars to your jobs really quickly, but it also provides mini reports. So what did we spend on transportation last month? We can see our spent last month right here in the Quick Budget section. What's our average monthly supply spending? Let's go to that category and we'll see the average spending over the last rolling 12-month period of time if you've got that much data. So it's a great way to quickly see exactly where you're at with some of these categories too. Now you can also find answers to your questions by using the filter and search tools in the account registers. Now let's go to my business checking account here and I'll show you what I mean. Now your transaction list can get really long over time. Sometimes you don't need to see every transaction in the register. Well, using the filter, you can show only transactions within a certain date range if you'd like, or hide those that are reconciled or scheduled. Now I have my scheduled transactions hidden, but let's take a quick look at my upcoming bills and any outstanding invoices I may have. And there we go. I can now see those here at the top of my register. So I've got a couple different bills coming up. I've got the Tulare company that's an invoice that I'm waiting on as well. So right next to those filter options, you'll see the search box in your account registers. So like, when did Big Corp pay invoice number 243, for example? What was the amount? Well, let's go ahead and just do a quick search for invoice number 243 right in the search box. And we can search for that in the memo field because that's where I like to put all my invoice numbers, and there it is. I can see the date, the amount, all the information I need. How much have I spent with ad clicks this year so far? Well, in this case, I'm going to search all my accounts in case I paid them with my Visa instead of a check. So let's go to my all accounts and just look for that vendor in the payee field. And there we go. Now I can also reduce this and have multiple search criteria as well. If I want to look for a specific date range, just starting to type in the date will give me lots of different choices and suggestions. Maybe I want to see everything on or after the first of the year. Now, if I select all the displayed categories, I'll see a total of those selected transactions right here in the header. So it does the math for me. Now I can clear the search and show all my transactions again by just selecting the small X in the search box, but I could also use the clear search in the register display as well. Now you can even search based on color-coded flags that you may have added to your transactions. So, for example, if I used red to flag some of my overdue invoices, that's one of the things I like to do, I can see them all for the year by just using that search field. Put an F in there, it gives me my flag colors. Now you can use these flags for a lot of different things. Flags can be helpful for identifying like tax-related transactions, maybe grouping expense types like vehicle maintenance by vehicle, or even individual spending if you'd like. Now, when it comes time to file your taxes, this is where the income and expense report is pretty handy. It'll give me everything I need to take to my accountant or tax preparer. Now, I'll probably set the date range to last year to reflect just those transactions. And in all likelihood, he'll need the report without the owner's draw total. So I might even choose to go ahead and deselect that one so the report reflects just what I want to see. Now to print, I can use the print screen function on my computer, but I can also take a screenshot just to save as a file or print. Sometimes that can be helpful, just attach it with an email, for example. Now I'm a spreadsheet guy, so I'm going to export this so I can play with it in Excel. Look for the export button up here in the upper right of the report display. But I could also export the entire budget using the export option in this drop-down list you'll see when you click on the budget name. Now this will create a zip file that'll actually unzip to two common delimited files that you could then open in your spreadsheet app. One will have all your transactions, the other will have all your budget data. So lots of information there if you'd like to go ahead and customize this even further. Now, all this information can help you make better budgeting and spending decisions, but it is easy to focus on all that data, maybe lose the power of the budget in helping you reach your goals moving forward. So it's best to use that data to help answer questions you may have about your past spending. Get the information you need at tax time and really help you prioritize more effectively as you budget. So I know you probably have some questions. Some folks have been sending some questions over already. This is a great time to type on over any questions you may have about what we've talked about. I hope this is giving you a lot of insight, though, as to how you can retrieve that data that you've been collecting. Because as you're ending those transactions, you're not only updating your budget, but you're also providing a record of all the things that you need come tax time and to help you make better decisions about your business. Now, Leslie was wondering, can we customize a report to our specific needs? Well, there are several ways of customizing this report, Leslie. We can, of course, use these filters that we've got up at the top to change the date range, eliminate the categories that we might want. But there's another thing you can do. Depending on how you have your categories arranged, your category groups, that will reflect on your reports as well. So you'll notice my expense, my monthly and true expense category groups, they mirror what my budget shows. So if I were to rearrange this, let's go ahead and do it. We can just go ahead and rearrange that. And now you'll see that this report has adjusted accordingly. So you've got a lot of flexibility if you'd like to go ahead and have it look a little bit different. But you can take it to another level if you'd like to go ahead and export as well. When you export that data, you can dump it into whatever spreadsheet app you're comfortable with, and then you can adjust to your heart's content, whether it's adding different formulas or whether it is just changing the formatting so it looks a little bit different for your particular needs. So let me know if that helps. I hope it does. Leslie says, I was giving you some great ideas. Well, great. That's what I'm hoping for, because every small business is different. And by showing you some of the different flexible ways you can use YNAB, I'm hoping you'll be able to see how powerful it can be in giving you that control of your business dollars as well as just your personal dollars. Susan was wondering, are there sample categories for small business, or did I just use that one that I just had created? Well, these are some that I put together. Now, we do have a handout that actually has some other sample categories structures. So if you'd like to go ahead and see some of those, let's go ahead and see if I can find you a link. I'm going to go ahead and send you over a link to the small business handout. And I know when Kelly put this together, we've got just some sample ones I put together to give you some ideas to think about. We talked about them a little bit in our small business workshop, our previous one, but that'll give you something that you can hopefully run with. It's a PDF file, okay? But Susan, really adjust these categories to reflect what your business needs are. Hopefully this is giving you a catalyst for ideas. Start simple on your categories, maybe a little general, and then let those categories earn places on your budget. And it's super easy to add categories to rearrange the structure of your budget. You can add a category easily by just using that little plus by the category group, but you can also go ahead and add a whole new category group if you'd like. So there's a lot of flexibility here. And I think in most cases, I've found YNAB generates everything I need for reports, but it also allows me to go ahead and really adapt this budget to my specific business ideas. Dave was mentioning you like the payee for income allows you to see income streams on reports. And yeah, that is a very cool thing. That payee name is how YNAB will sort all those income sources for your reports. So this is one of the reasons we want to make sure and just have some consistency in terms of the payee names. So if you've got a certain client list that you're working with, they'll collect all that and I can see the totals right there. And once again, I can always see the transactions that make up those totals. These numbers that you see reflected are going to break down to the details. So if you've got some, maybe I'm really not sure, well, what did we spend in that month? There it is. I can see all the transactions that made up my transportation category total for May. And if I needed to, I can actually go to that particular transaction. Maybe I had a memo there that I wanted to look at some specifics. So it allows me to really drill down and get the information I need when I need it. So I hope that helps. Dave was commenting about flags. You like to be able to sort and total on what you want when you want to. Flags are a really powerful way of customizing this. Dave was mentioning sometimes you need to see all income and expenses with a particular project, and that's a great application for flags. A flag, let's go ahead and open up all of these. A flag allows you to go ahead and just color code any of these transactions. And you get to decide your own color scheme, of course. But in my case, I like to use the red, for example, for overdue invoices. And that makes it easy to see them at a glance. And I can sort based on those flags by just starting with an F in that search field. It'll show all my flags. This search is so powerful because I can go ahead and really just see all kinds of options without having to type the whole thing in, seeing all of those. If I need to total those, just go ahead and select the ones you want totaled. You'll see that the selected total is always going to reflect up here at the top. Now, as I mentioned, sometimes folks like to use those for maybe specific expenses. Maybe you've got a fleet of vehicles that you want to kind of associate certain expenses with certain vehicles. Maybe it's different personal spending. And like Dave mentioned, you want to see income and expenses with a particular project. You could use a particular color for each individual project as well. A lot of power there with those flags. Now, if you've got a very small business, and some folks do, you know, maybe you just do some crafting, maybe you do farmers market stuff and you don't do a lot with it, but you may not even have a separate business checking account. Sometimes folks will do that and they'll just add business expenses in their personal account, and that's okay. If you wanted to add a category group just for your business, let's go to a personal budget here. I could add just a business expense category group, adding the categories then that I need to track for my business. And maybe I've got different things that I want to go ahead and track there. You get to decide. Once again, we can rearrange this so it'll show up wherever we want it to be on our reports as well. Now, I do encourage folks to set up a separate business checking account for your business. It's really good practice because it keeps those funds separated. The IRS likes that, but it also keeps your head in the right place. You know, when you're thinking about your business priorities, it's really a different situation than your personal priorities. I know I find that when I got my business hat on, I'm in a totally different place than when I'm thinking about my personal priorities. And I think that's a good thing as well. So having a separate business checking account, it's easy to do, and then you can allow that to fund your business budget. But if you do want to just add a category group for your business expenses and your personal, you certainly can do that as well. Part of the flexibility of YNAB is right there. All right, well, I see we're nearing the end of our time together. Has this been helpful? I hope it's given you some ideas that you can then use for retrieving the data as you've worked with this. If you have other questions, please reach out for help. You can always reach us through this little question icon here at the lower right-hand corner of your budget. But also, check out some of our other workshops. We've got a lot of different topics. Our very next one coming up is in just about 10 minutes. We're going to be talking about how you can create a debt paydown plan. Now, if you got some debt going on, you might find this helpful because strategy is important. We want to make sure you don't go backwards. I'm sending you over the registration link, and I'd love to have you join me if you could. So we'll get going in just about 10 minutes. For now, though, I do need to say goodbye because I am out of time. But I want to thank you all so much for being here. I hope it's been helpful. And I look forward to seeing you soon in another workshop. Happy budgeting.